Greetings and welcome. This is RPMMORadio, our 22nd episode, Wear Sweatpants. I will be one of your hosts, Ashton Phoenix, and of course, with me, as always, are the two ladies, Sib and Jazz. How's it going, gals?
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. So how's everybody doing? Everyone had the whole week since we did the last one, since we're doing this little out of order, since there's I guess some sort of holiday, like family gathering thing that we're all required to partake in.
Yes, I'm going to be cooking for a week.
Yeah, that's right. You better be, woman. Get back in the kitchen, make me a turkey. Or for your case, like a tofurkey. I don't know what you.
No,
I don't even know what
eat
you
turkey.
eat yet.
I eat turkey.
With proteins, Jazz.
Huh?
I said, are you good with proteins? You don't have to...
Oh yeah, I can have meat as long as it's, not coated in breading. I'm good.
You mean the stuff that makes it all tastier?
Mhm.
Yes.
And deep fried. But yeah, so we'll be having a good time this week, and we'll see how it goes. The holidays coming up, I know we're all going to be doing that, so we've kind of done this a little early, so we try to always keep the episodes coming every 2 weeks, even if we have to skip a week ahead of time. It's like the Back to the Future, only we're the future to the back, I guess. I have no idea. So, anyway, 22nd episode. Can't believe we've actually reached 22 episodes for something that 2/3 of the cast of the show never thought would even get past one.
That's true.
That's true. I was like, okay,
And
sure, why not?
And the other third was like, we can try. With all the enthusiasm that voice gives. So anyway, if you're listening to us live, we appreciate you tuning in, of course, over at twitch.tv/RPMMORadio. And if you're not, you can always join us when we do the shows live, which is about every 2 weeks. We got after this episode, we'll have 2 more left in the year, because we'll take off the last whole part of December and a little bit of the first of the year, because again, holidays, and it gets really hectic for everybody, and it's also not always most people are also busy with their own life, and or they're disappearing into roleplay because they're like, oh my god, my family's gonna come over. I would literally rather be anybody else, not just be anywhere else. So.
You need that escape.
Right.
Yes.
But
Keeps me sane.
Was that thing? Apple Podcast, if you want to listen to us there. Google Play, although for some reason I've noticed on mine it didn't update our last episode a week ago, but I know it's on there because I put it on there myself. Stitcher, all those places you can, the typical, there's a lot of others that they just kind of show up at, so most podcast apps and locations you can listen to us after the fact or while you're gaming or whatever you might want to do. On Apple Tunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever it's called, I still constantly get it screwed up. If you want to do us a solid, just go over there, give us a star rating or write up a little review. The more you do that, it doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time, but it helps us out immensely. I'm sure anybody that listens to podcasts has heard it before, but it helps us get out there to anybody that might be kind of searching for something like this. It makes it easier to be found and puts it up towards the top of the search results and things like that. The more reviews you have, positive or negative, funny enough, it actually apparently has very little difference as long as it's just been reviewed. Yeah, even if you say it's a shit show from start to finish.
Or you too could find us or help find us. Heaven knows we need help finding ourselves.
Help me find you, find me to help you, find you to find me.
Yeah.
Something like that. But anyway, so yeah, give us a shout out on there. We'd really appreciate it. It helps us out, and it's been apparently doing very, very well. And totally was reading the chat.
Yeah, you lost track of what you were saying.
Yeah, I was reading the truth, Bob. Wears sweatpants Sunday even though it's Saturday. That's right. Because, again, time travelers. But, okay, so enough of all that fun, enjoyable stuff. We've got a little bit going on today. We're going to have just kind of a light episode, have a little bit of fun, talk about doing special things for holiday event role play and just guilds in general. And also something I know Jazz is very familiar with, and so is Sib and myself, the holiday lull.
Oh.
Where people, where everybody seems to think that the game is dying and that their guild is disappearing because it's the holidays.
Every single time.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you when I thought of this earlier? Sid?
No, he said that. He was like, "Oh, this is one of the things Jazz really." She hears every year, and she's like, "Oh, it's just the holidays. It's just."
And I can say it. It doesn't matter. No one listens. They all start going. We have people leave. It never fails. Around the holidays, people leave because they think because it's slow and people aren't logging in, it's the end of the world. And it's just like, guys, it's the holidays. This happens every single year.
Okay, college kids. And,
they got
that happens.
Finals, and then they have go home.
And then they go home to their families that don't have internet.
Yep. Or they don't have fast internet,
Or they don't have a computer.
Or their parents are like my mom, who think computers are evil, so you can't ever get on your computer because your mom will be standing there going, "What are you doing? What are you doing?
Are you looking up them bronies again?" Yes, I am. I like cotton candy. It's always been my favorite pony.
That's adorable.
Isn't it? I actually only remember that one from the original series back when it was the day my babysitter's daughter had that one. It was little pink and it had had 3 little bubbles on its butt. It had a bubble butt. So, that's completely random and unnecessary in any way, shape, or form. So let's go into what we've been doing in RP. Since I never actually start out, I'll go ahead and do it this time because I always let ladies go first. But you know what? This is the
manners out the door. Chaos is reigning through the studio.
They can burn their bras. We even gave them the vote at one point. I don't even know when that happened. It's horrible. Anyway, so I ran an event this week, and it was a lot of fun. I did it for the Servants of the Temple. I'll actually have had several ideas based on something else we've been listening to, but I'll get that here at the end. What it was it's the Servants of the Temple, so it was a group of ordinators, soldier warrior guys, all in their golden armor. But we took a group of them high up into the mountains where 6 researchers from, if you play ESO, shot a stool, sent 6 researchers to a local mountain range on the border of Morrowind to the Skyrim area to try to figure out volcanic. It's nerd stuff. They were looking at non-volcanic mountain ranges, and it doesn't matter what the plot device was that got them out there. The point of it was an icy peak, and then they were never seen from again.
Right.
That's where the story starts. So they failed to do their check-in, so they got tried to scry to find their location and find out what happened, but for some reason the scrying didn't work. It gave a general location because, frankly, it's kind of like cell phones in modern movies. They can really fuck up literally every story. Like almost every movie up until like early 2000 does not work in the modern era because cell phones would be like, oh yeah, well, Frank, who we can't find, it turns out his cell phone was just around the corner, and when we pinged it, he's he's dead. So they teleported in, they hiked up this mountain, it got colder and colder, and when they got there, they found they located the camp, but the tents were torn to shreds, and all the gear was left inside. So the other thing was that there were footprints leading from the tents out into the snowy wilderness, and they were not shoed, they were barefoot, which why somebody would leave the comfort of their tent in sub-zero temperatures was something that they were going to have to find out. So following that, they broke into the two teams. They did find one couple of them huddled together, frozen solid, and completely naked. And then the other 4 were found a distance off, trying what appeared to be trying to set like a campfire, which for anybody in ESO, especially Dark Elves with fire magic, should have been very easy. However, they were just a bundle of sticks, and they never actually got any flames started. And then they froze to death, because that's fun. Freezing to death is what people do together. It's a bonding moment. An eternal bonding moment. Literally bonding, because if you try to break them apart, which they did later on when they moved them for proper burial, let's just say parts broke off. I only specified it was fingers and other various body parts, but I'll just say this. They were completely naked. I didn't specify what all the parts were that broke off.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave that to your imagination. But anyway, so it was their weenies. Anyway.
Did you say they're Wheaties?
Innies.
I actually said weenies, but okay.
Oh, Wheaties works too.
It was they lost all their Wheaties.
Your Wheaties.
You know what they say, ladies? Be sure to eat your Wheaties.
Oh, that's so wrong.
What? I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? Anyway, so as they were doing that, they couldn't sense any life, they couldn't sense any magic nearby, and then all of a sudden from up on high on the mountain there was a loud resonant boom, kind of like an avalanche sound, and the wind picked up, the temperature started to drop severely. There was no actual avalanche, but it was like the wind preceding an avalanche. I don't know if how much you people know about avalanches, but there's a lot of wind depending on how big they are.
Yeah.
If you watch I don't want to spoil that. Never mind. I was going to say something about a movie that's out, but I don't want to spoil that because that's at the very, very end. So never mind. Yeah, completely unrelated. See War of the Planet of the Apes. It's very good. It'll make you cry. So the wind came rushing down, and they didn't realize it at first, but also their ability to use magic was slowly fading. The colder it got, it was like it was literally sapping the magic and the magic ability from them. But they did, before it went completely out, manage to get some flame wards and some fire wards and runes and things like that up as they put a shield wall up, and then something invisible slammed into all that warding and made itself appear, and it was a kind of a giant, like 10-foot tall, 8-faced, lanky-armed, very overly thin creature that just kind of appeared out of nowhere, and howled and raged, and the winds kept spinning around them, and of course a fight ensued, as fights tend to do when almost any event happens with people that have swords and magic. It's because it's fun. It kicked some butts, because I'll be honest, how many people were there, hun? There were probably
about 9 or 10.
Yeah, 9 or 10 people. Okay, So first round, we're rolling everything. Only one of them rolled above an 8.
And she had to leave.
And she left before it was her turn because a family emergency came up, which is cool. But she's the only one that rolled a 15. Out of 9 to 10 people, not a single one rolled above an 8. That's got to be some sort of statistical anomaly. I mean, it was, even for me, I was like, God damn it, this guy's gonna kill them all. But they eventually do defeat him, and it was a lot of fun. I did have somebody ask if it was a Wendigo, which it actually was somewhat inspired by that. But the actual location of where I came up with this idea was we had both, for those that don't have Amazon Prime, there's a new show on there called Lore. And for anybody that probably listens to podcasts, that Lore is also a hugely successful podcast, like millions of downloads, like successful. And what it does is the show itself, they're only like 15, sometimes half an hour long, but it goes into worldwide lore, just like it says, all the way from the creation of vampires to the little people of Ireland, serial killers like H.H. Holmes in Chicago.
Wendigos.
And Wendigos, like this one here, actually was a mountain out in Russia where a group of hikers had gone to, and they said that if they didn't come back at a certain time to they were like a mile off course, and when they were found with their tents fully intact, all the clothing, everything was I embellished a little bit. Well, no, their tents were ripped up, but all their clothing, all their warm weather gear was left inside the tents, and there were the footprints leading from their tents, and they left basically naked or in their underwear out into the cold for no discernible reason. They never did figure out why it was, but it turned out that the local tribes that were living around that mountain of kind of old style Russians, they actually had a name for the mountain, and it was basically "Don't go there" is what it translated into. It was a mountain that the locals knew to never traverse, and it had been in that language for thousands of years, apparently, that they had known not to go there. And that's where I got that idea, and I have dozens more based off of that podcast. So if you're somebody that looks for events and you also want to learn really interesting world history stuff and lore and fascinating things based in the real world, but also be able to adapt them to roleplay, I would highly suggest it because, one, it's fascinating, and two, there are so many stories. I think they're up to 70-something episodes, and damn near every single one of them can be adapted to some sort of roleplay device. Sib's listened. She's listened to all of them already. I'm still catching up.
Yeah, I get started on something like that, and I just plow through it. But no, they're good. They're very good. I would recommend them.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are really spooky.
Yeah, some of them are just chilling, really, really chilling. But so that's what I did. It was a lot of fun. Oh, and the Beast, because I don't like every story to have they never did figure out what it was, but the Beast's body actually dissolved back into slush, and whatever it was that seemed to be controlling it, it went, before it died, it lost its white fur and looked like a mutated sort of giant creature, and it just turned to slush and disappeared, or whatever curse was on it was broken, and they didn't really get the nice little ribbon bow. So it's something that you never know, whatever caused that might actually return one day in the form of something else, because I like open-ended roleplay. So that was a little long-winded, but hopefully that was worth listening to. Hey, what did we say? We're going to try to make these a little more interesting. We're going to tell the story. We're going to make it worth listening to. It's better than... So I ran an event. They went up the mountain. People were froze to death. They fought a giant furry ape, and we all went home. So...
We'll be coming around the mountain when we come. Sorry, I had to throw it in there.
God damn it. All right, well, since you're talking, you're next, Sib. What have you been doing, babe?
Oh, I'm next.
Oh, you're next. You're next.
I did attend that event.
You did?
I did. And I'm like the low man on the totem pole. So I just kind of was like the lookout and kind of kept an eye out for, because we had to split up into two groups. So I kind of had to keep an eye out for the other group, their signal. I did have one moment where Ashton, like, I was looking around and he's like emoted to me, but I'm not talking that I just like, yeah. I was like, dang it, I missed my moment shot. So that was kind of a bummer, but I did help out with everything else. Like, I think I was the first one to run in to try to attack the beast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and
because we do alphabetical order, and
yeah,
her character's name is Ian. I think there was a
Travis.
Travis was ahead of you, so you were second on the
but Travis, he did something, I can't remember what his attack was, but I actually ran and they grabbed him, my friend, flung back Travis, who was the leader, and it was crazy. I ended up like getting shield deflected off of Travis's shield.
Were terrible. I felt so bad for. I was like, oh.
And then on my second attack, I got a knee to the chin.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that sucked. And then I think after that, everyone kind of
Yeah, it
got
turned
their
around after that a little bit. You guys finally
everyone
started
started to
rolling
get
better than an 8.
their hits landing, and we brought the thing down. Of course, it landed on that was leg or my underneath.
You're cutting out again real bad, babe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't make sure that pop filter's not touching the mic.
It's not.
Okay, but yeah, you're cutting out. You were keep an eye on that thing. You weren't transmitting.
I swear it's not touching. I'm trying to do.
I know. I'm starting to wonder if your mic is fleeking out on you as well.
Well, I can change it out. I've got another one, but
Yeah.
no. I was trying to think. No, I lost my train of thought. Things.
You were almost done with that one, but you also did something else too.
I also did last night. Aluna, the other guild I'm in, they had a RP event, which they're trying to establish House Telvanni among the guild. So I went over to that with my Dunmere character, and she's kind of a total butt. And it kind of turned out that she wasn't going to be, right for that guild. So I took her back, put her back in the, the character slot area, and came out with another character. But no, that was a lot of fun too. They, they're doing the lords and the mouths and trying to establish high wizards. So it's really neat, and I'm kind of curious to see where that's going to lead. But that's mine. So, Jazz, your turn.
Well, let's see. I've been fighting off the flu for, I feel like, 2 weeks. So it's really been annoying to me. But I've also been struggling with the flu in my computer. I've been having some really strange lag issues and stuff. And some of it is just the game and Discord. As you know, they've been having problems too. But there was something going on with my system, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So I got rid of my camera, and I got a new Wi-Fi adapter. And that seems to have cleaned a lot of that up. And I got a, like a driver updater. I forget what it's called here. Give them their little boost driver support. Never heard of them before, but they came with one of the things that I bought.
What's that do? You mentioned that earlier. I didn't. What is it? What's it do?
Well, it was $9.99, which is stupidly expensive in my opinion. But for $9.99 a month, it just basically sits in your tray and keeps track of all of the stuff that's being updated and updates it accordingly. So I think somehow one of my drivers didn't get updated right, which is why I was having the problem with my headset, which I still am. But it tracked down, I had 15 drivers on my motherboard that were out of date.
Holy crap.
I know. I was like, what? I'm so good about that. I don't understand how that even happened. But it went through one by one and updated everything. So obviously my sound card or the sound part on my motherboard needs to be updated and didn't get updated, or maybe it did and it got updated wrong, and that's why I'm having some of the problems that I'm having.
Corrupted.
So I don't know. I'll fix that myself. But the rest of it, my computer's been booting like 10 times faster than it was, and it's definitely made some improvements. So that was nice.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I'm also not getting the kind of lag in ESO that I was getting before. It was driving me batshit. I could not.
Hold on. Let's hear that again. Let's hear that again, goat lady.
I'm not doing it again.
No. Come on, look. That's awesome. You make a very good goat. It's almost like you live out in the country.
I know, right? So
you can butt him if you want to.
I will eventually.
One
of these days I
the
will
witch
meet
knows
him.
how to do goat sounds. Am I right, guys?
Oh, of course, right? Yeah. But we have to sacrifice them, so we have to know how they sound, right?
Yeah, you got to be able to convince them to come up and.
So anyway, the point is that my computer's working better, and I was able to then focus on getting in and role-playing, which I've been trying to do more lately. Ever since the big push to level, I've been just kind of not role-playing as much. I don't really know why. I got out of the habit, I guess, of logging in and going to Roleplay, and I got out of that habit, and I've been trying to get back into it so that I can get more Roleplay on CL. And I've noticed there's a lot of people that aren't around, and we all know what that is.
The game's dying
What's
and
that?
your guild's dying.
Yes, my guild's dying. Has to be it, right?
Yeah, but and funny enough, so is the servants and all the other guilds. They're all dying, ironically, all at the exact same time.
It couldn't possibly just be holidays. Couldn't possibly be the holidays. Yeah, I'm so tired
impossible.
of it. You have no idea. I mean, every year I would put this out on our website for whatever guild I was in. Okay, the holidays are coming. I just want to preemptively get out there. The guild's not dying. This is normal. We're not going to see people for the next 2 to 3 months. Things are going to be a little slow, but they'll pick up again in about end of January. Don't freak out. It never does me any good because what happens? Everybody freaks out. It never fails.
Out.
Yeah. Because like right now I'm in several guilds and they're all very, very quiet. And I had to even remind myself not to just leave because this is the holidays and I won't make any decision about leaving until later after the holidays are over and people are filtering back and see if they fill up again. But if not, I'll move on and I'll find another Roleplay guild.
Yeah,
it's not the end of the world.
It's definitely not dying. I think that game's still fairly even for a lull, it's still pretty damn active.
The game is packed.
Yeah.
The game is packed. I don't think there's a problem with the game, but certainly role players have been taking, and a lot of role players have been reacting to the idiots and the harassers out there and kind of taking a step away from open roleplay and just focusing on in-houses and that sort of thing.
Going quiet.
Right. And so that always impacts me because I only really random roleplay. I don't do very much otherwise. And it's really hard for me to enjoy myself on scripted or organized roleplay. So, and it's also hard that a lot of the people that I associate with in game hate Riften with a passion. And
that seems to be fairly universal across a lot.
Yeah, and and I don't understand it because the trolls and the idiots are always going to be there in any place that you make, any time that you have open roleplay, you've got to deal with that. It's never going to go away. It's never going to stop. And if the only way that you can have fun in roleplay is if it's organized and scripted and only the people that you like are involved, you are never going to have a live roleplay and you're never going to have an active guild. Yeah. So it's just part and parcel that having to deal with idiots is just one of those things.
Yeah, Korator in the chat was saying that this happens in his orc guild. Everyone was on Discord going, "Where's everyone out?" And they're still active, etc. But it's just part of the year. But we'll get more to that here after a little while.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that is what I have been doing is pretty much just trying to focus on my 3 active roleplay characters, particularly Cial, who's a lot of fun, and I've been focusing a little more on Sully, who's working on Telani RP, which I've never done before, so that's been kind of interesting too.
I got to meet her last night.
Yes, you did.
How do you say her name? Full name?
Oh, Soldrenny.
Soldrenny?
But she's just Sully is what she goes
Sully.
by. When she's away from her father and away from all of the stick in the muds, she just Sully to her friends.
Just call me Sully. So, yeah. Well, that's cool. Quick reminder too, we are a call-in show as well. So if you do want to call in and talk with us, tell us about what you're doing or anything that's about coming up on doing certain roleplay events, anything like that, you can just go into our join us at the Discord at RPMMORadio.com/Discord if you're not already part of it. If you are, just throw yourself into the caller waiting room and maybe give us a little heads up on the caller details section about what it is you're wanting to talk about, and we'll bring you on sooner or later. So with that, we're going to go. We have 2 little news things today. One of them actually happened last night.
We've got 3 on there. Well, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll shut up. Okay.
You woman.
I just like interrupting you. What can I say?
That's my job.
All
But no, over in it actually kind of affects role players, which is why I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. But apparently last night, and I actually watched probably a good half hour to an hour of this while I was playing ESO, which is ironic. I was watching BDO but playing with the other game. we've played Black Desert, and it's not a bad game. It's actually, especially for an Asian MMO, it's pretty good. It's definitely beautiful. But apparently there was a big protest last night, and the stream I was watching had at the peak, it was damn near 5,000 people watching it. And apparently they all gathered in Calpheon and the Calpheon 1 channel, which it's kind of like shards. If you've never played BDO, you can actually go between, they call them shards, but it's basically you're able to jump between servers if you really want to at any given time. But they were all gathering in that one place, I guess trying to lag it out or something. I'm not really sure. Just show how many people could gather in one spot. Even though the limitations of the game, which is part of what they were protesting, doesn't allow you to see all those people, which is part of the problem with that they were protesting, because apparently in PvP, it's hard to do PvP when you can't see all the people on the screen.
Imagine that.
Right.
That would be, yeah. Why did I die? Who killed me? Yeah,
Exactly.
That would be so bad.
But they actually had some good stuff. I don't know how successful these things are. Pearl Abyss is the creators. Cacao is the distributor, the publisher. But
Cacao or cow?
I thought it was Cacao.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you stuttered or if you
No, it's actually Cacao. That's
okay.
Yeah, I don't even know. It's like some Russian thing or something. I have no idea. But they were apparently the lag, the server lag has actually gotten. It was always pretty bad, but apparently for like the last 3 weeks, the disconnects, which as we all know as role players, there's nothing worse than being in the middle of roleplay and losing one, or even worse, multiple people right in the middle of your roleplay, and people just bouncing in and out, in and out, in and out. Nothing takes roleplay to a screaming halt like disconnects. Lag we can typically work around if we're not doing anything super active, but unless it's chat lag, in which case that sucks too. But apparently people have almost lost the ability to play the game because of it. They're losing. Of course, in this game, when you die, you lose experience, you lose stuff in that game. It's not like a lot of them where you just lose a little bit of coin when you have to do your armor. So that was one of the things. There was a player called Blue, Bloo, who actually Pearl Abyss had. He was trying to reveal the hidden stats that this game has, and apparently Blue had gone through data mining, but he data mined the information on his computer. He didn't hack a server. He's not a hacker or an exploiter. He was literally just trying to find the stats that for some reason severely affect how the game works, but the Pearl Abyss isn't wanting to let people know about. I think it's probably because it's garbage, and it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Anybody that played the old EverQuest knows that there was something called hell levels.
God. Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah, and it was this. I forget the level range, but it was 5 to 7 levels that they called the hell levels, because the way they had done the math, it actually took exponentially more time to get through those little levels than it did for almost all the levels above that.
Guilds, there were guild hell
yeah.
Yeah,
and the EQ2 had those too.
Yeah.
It was just bad math.
It was just bad math. And they did eventually fix it, but it took them a long time.
Yeah. And so, and they were doing other things like class balancing and a whole bunch. The militia system, which was after my time. I'm not really familiar with it. But item drop scrolls and a lot of barriers that they have for the paywall and things like that. And it is a nice game, but yeah, paying $30 for a costume is sucks. And part of that, I think, is its Asian roots. They're pay to win over in a lot of the Asian countries, and the Asian created MMOs it's not something they have a problem with over there. It's largely a European and North American thing, or Americas if you want to do North and South, that we're desperately against pay to win and all that stuff. So it was kind of an interesting thing to see a whole community of, because obviously it wasn't all role players, but since this is something that affected role players, I kind of find it fascinating, because there's been a handful of times I've seen player bases revolt, I guess you could say, and try to break. I know EverQuest 1 and 2 had I know at EverQuest 1 there was something like that happened, and they all gathered in one location and managed to crash the server. I don't remember what it was for. I just remember that the stories at the time and hearing about it because I was at work, so I couldn't participate. But yeah, I don't know. You guys think stuff like that is worth the time to? I mean, because these guys were passionate. They didn't want to quit the game because they love it, but I know we've all come from EQ2 where we loved the game, but we quit it because they're killing it.
Yep.
You think something like this is worth even trying?
No.
No, it's just basically a big
No.
waste of time. I wonder too. Yeah, I mean, a lot of them don't listen.
They don't listen, and they don't care because it's just about the bottom line and how much money they can make off of people before they move on to the next game. I'd like to believe ESO isn't like that, but I'm not naive. And I know that the people that are paying for this game don't give two rats ass about the game itself. So that's the people that run it and paid money to have it developed, and the people that are on the high ups, they don't get it and they don't care, and that's part of what's wrong. In my opinion.
And I want to be an optimist and say, keep doing it, but then the sane part of me says, I don't think it does any good either, which is sad.
The definition of insanity.
That was said by Albert Einstein.
It actually was. Everybody contributes that quote to Albert Einstein. He didn't say that. He actually it's an urban legend, but it is still a damn good quote.
Yeah.
But it is. I would have thought that, and it very well may. It really depends on developers, but even some of the big juggernauts like EA, which just released the Star Wars Battlefront 2, have this horrible online progression system in their multiplayer and the loot crate thing, which I think has its days numbered. I think it's only a matter of time before countries start classifying loot crates as gambling, because it essentially is. You're gambling.
Well, of course it is. It's exactly what you're doing, and people are spending huge amount of money on their credit cards, which is supposed to be illegal, to gamble on getting a digital item that has no value in the real.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worse than gambling. It's worse than
clothing
gambling.
or actual item. Like in Star Wars, it's actual items that actually would help you. Like Overwatch, for example. It's all cosmetic. Even the ones at ESO, I don't mind them. I personally think they're fine because it's limited. There's not really a lot of it's garbage anyway that it's not really worth even having or wearing. But the whole reason those loot crate things exist was because they're literally meant, like you said, Jazz. They're there to take the addictive personality and make you keep buying, keep coming back, make you feel like you
gambling.
have to do
but
that.
Then again, so is insurance. So there's an investment.
Yeah,
people.
But that's government sanctioned gambling, so it's okay.
Yes,
they get
so
their cut.
It's okay. Yeah.
It's not even government sanctioned. That's world government sanctioned.
Yeah,
they all think it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the loot crate thing will have. I think once that starts happening, which apparently I saw Norway and the Netherlands or somewhere, something like that was saying, yeah. The True Bob says, just one more loot crate, just one more. Apparently he's William. Thank you for joining us, William Shatner.
Yes.
But
it's true though. I've watched people. They spend so much money on those things, and in Star Wars, in Tor, people would spend so much money on those things, and they'd be like, "I got this," and it's like, "And how much did it freaking cost you?"
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I had the same conversation when I worked in the casino and said, they're like, "I won $5,000, and how much have you spent?
How much did you spend?"
Yeah. Could never get people to make that leap, because people who have that addictive personality, whether it's booze or gambling or a game, it doesn't matter. It's all part of the same concept. They really just can't make that leap. Not their fault, but they just can't see it. They just can't.
Yeah, I mean,
I totally agree.
Coloco in the Discord chat is on that, not how about ESO House can run you close to $100 in real money, and you're limited on how many people can get in there, and in how much you can customize it too, which is also a good point. And I know a lot of people did that. There's probably some house at one time that'll come up, and I'll probably try to do the same thing. So far, there's not been $120 house that's been like, oh, I have to have that.
I don't think I spent 100, but I've bought an expensive house, and I can only have 12 people in there. And
Yeah.
Yep.
It's huge. It is huge.
Yep.
And I'm like so mad. I'm like, because I didn't pay attention to that when I picked that house.
No, a lot of people didn't, and a lot of people assumed that didn't apply to them because of whatever. And it's really sad that ESO did that because it's made a lot of people really pissed off.
How hard would it be for them to open it up where, you could have more people?
Well, it depends on how their servers are coded, and I get that as somebody that's dabbled in this, but nevertheless, it's a flaw that could be fixed. Showing off she has more than 12 friends.
Yeah. Oh, she does that seriously. She's like, I got more than 12 friends. I need more space than that.
No, it's not that.
That's exactly how she meant it. Seriously, that's how you should take it. She's trying to say she's better than you.
No, I'm better than nobody.
Oh, that's not true.
Look who my other is.
It's me. It's me.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I think the days on that are limited, and I totally, we got so derailed. I forgot there was a point I was leading towards, and I'll remember it when I listen to this again. I can't think of it again. Oh, darn it. But anyway, I don't know if the EA, they actually they changed their policy on that. They actually have shut down on that game on Battlefront 2. They shut down people's ability to buy loot crates in the outpouring. I think because it was they were one of the comments they had on Reddit. They actually piped in on a Reddit thread, and it is the most downvoted thread message in Reddit history. Which, if you're familiar with Reddit, is actually saying something, because there's basically the worst people in existence on Reddit. If you're on Reddit, I'm talking to you. No, it actually can be fairly useful, but there are some pretty shitty people on there. So yeah, it could have I hope for the sake of Black Desert Online, and especially for its players, that they listen, even in part, if they do stuff. I mean, the lag, it is a service game. You guys are paying for that. I know it's free to play, but let's be honest. Anybody that's really into it, like those guys are, they're paying the monthly subscription. They're buying. One guy said he had spent over $3,000 in that game on the stuff.
Yeah, having that conversation with my kids is always a challenge, because I'm like, but it's free. Well, it's not going to stay free. And then they start playing, and they're like, can I get this? Can I get that? And I'll look at them with a completely straight face and say, thought it was free. Mm-hmm. And they just get that flat look and just stare at me. It's like, oh, just so. And then, of course, my one son says the person who spent $75 on gems recently, boy, stay out of my business.
Yeah, the difference is I have a job.
Yeah, we work for that money.
Yeah, we work for that money. Leave me be. And I still have most of those gems left over, so bite me.
Yeah. So, but all right, we actually have Mikey waiting. Let's go ahead real quick and get to Sib's thing that she had done.
Oh, there's also another news story from Jazz. So Mikey might be wanting to comment on this story.
Yeah, why don't you have Mikey first?
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and
women win again.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll bring him down here and unmute him, and we have Mikey on the line. Hey, Mikey, how's it going, man?
Hi, Mikey.
How's it going?
Thanks for calling in.
Lovely people.
We are.
Yay!
We really, really are. You're not too bad yourself.
I appreciate that. I got to say, Mike, you're a beautiful bastard. Got to put that out there.
I appreciate that. It's my mom says I'm cool, and she tells me I'm handsome all the time.
She's the only one.
The only one.
So what's up, Mikey? What you got for us?
Well, I wanted to talk about when you guys were talking about, like, do you think that the protest does anything? And I think it does to a certain degree, in that it does alert the corporation, like, hey, this is what our consumer base is saying, and we want to keep our consumer base satisfied. If not, well, then the moolah stops coming in.
Very true.
I mean, it's just as Mike was saying, like the most downvoted thread in Reddit history was with EA, and they pulled off the thing. The cynic in me says that they're going to try and bring that back in some form, but if the players remain vocal about it, then this could be the beginning of a trend where they do have some sort of power anyway.
Yeah, well, because we really only have 2 points of power. One is obviously not to buy the cash shop stuff. That's the biggest one we have. But the other big one is to not play anymore. That's really the only two powers we have. I mean, we can talk and protest like they did, but a lot of them were saying like they were basically almost done with the game because they couldn't play it. I guess whatever the lag issues were so bad for a lot of them, and depending on what you're doing, it was unplayable. And at that point, really, you're just saving yourself frustration. They make it a lot easier when a game gets that bad.
I think so. At the same time, it's always that rule of capitalism because it's such a great philosophy. No, I'm kidding. But it's also that thing about capitalism where money is just as much as an enabler as well as a form of, I guess...
reward.
Yeah, reward. Thank you. And so if... the counter argument to what Coloco was saying, like, they spend all that money on the house and you can only get a certain number of people into it. Well, to be fair, there was fine print there and, they could have... I'm not saying I'm supporting it. I'm just saying that's what those hacks at the company would say because they're not nice people.
Well, yeah, they're clearly, I mean, like every video game, they're in it for the money, but there's good ways and there's bad ways to do it for sure. And like what EA did was just it was among the worst because it was even without the buying system. I played that game. The leveling system for multiplayer is garbage. It's hands down the worst thing I have ever played when it comes to that. The game itself, fantastic. The single player story in that game, probably up there with it's some great Star Wars. It actually feels like Star Wars. But the multiplayer aspect of that was so bad, and so many of the MMOs, they do the exact same thing where it's just they'll do anything they can to grab the short-term money without thinking of the long-term, where if you take care of your customers, they'll keep, shoot, how much money would all of us shell out if we actually had a game that felt like it gave a shit about role players, We'd all be playing or working second jobs to be able to afford it. Like, well, they love us though, so that's okay if I work at another job. I have to give them my money.
I think that the folks at ZeniMax, this is probably thinking more optimistically, they tend to listen just a little bit better than the other companies, in my opinion. As recent, I did see that there was a thread on the forums that was causing a bit of a stir in actually protesting for higher limits to houses, so more decorations.
That one I agree with. Shoot, just having higher limits to how many people can be in it, I would take before the housing, the item upgrade.
Yeah, and you can find it on ESORP. I can't remember the name. It's called Raise Some Hell With Me. It was started by some person named Alexandria, so shameless plug there, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that you can't discourage people from being vocal, but as far as the impact is made, it varies from company to company and situations.
It depends on how much, and of course it doesn't help with games like BDO where they're overseas and they're, especially for BDO in Pearl Abyss, we're not their main market. The Asian market in their original form of the game, that's where their real bread and butter is at. So I really do wonder with that company, maybe what I want to think that it would make a difference, but because it's not like World of Warcraft or ZOS, where the European and North American servers are where their source of income comes from. With a lot of these Asian MMOs, they've got, on that side of it, they've got hundreds of thousands, billions of players, whereas over here it's, tens of thousands, maybe, things like that.
I agree. And to me, the tragic thing is that those players in BDO, they want to love the game. They play the game, obviously, because they like it. But they're getting the short straws. They're not being really heard because they're not the primary constituents, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they're this for a change when it comes to Americans by perspective, we're the second class citizens in regards to Asian MMOs. We are not the end all be all of where all that money comes from.
No,
So,
and that game does whatever it can to keep you online. From what I'm told, with all the amounts of activity that you got to do and some sort of
yeah, a lot of our RNG's stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, hopefully, and the reason we bring it up too on this is we do go across all MMOs, and what really, what happens in one like this, if you don't think even, ZOS and, Blizzard and all the other developers aren't keeping an eye on something like this, you'd probably be mistaken, because stuff like this, it also helps show what the tide of the MMO player base is like and what they are willing to put up with and what they are not willing to put up with. So, this protest and all this stuff, while it may not even affect what Cacao and Pearl Abyss does, because they have the Asian market, and it comes to the American markets and the European markets, it actually could have an effect on, any future plans they might have, because they notice this stuff and they don't want this kind of negative press and stuff like that, because it's popped up in a few places. I found out about it on I think it was the Massively Overpowered is where I first saw the article as it was happening, and then and you have one streamer having over 5,000 views. That's just people watching that. That's not even necessarily the number of people participating, which is probably even more than that. Because if you can get that many people playing BDO that are willing to watch that, there's no telling how many that actually are participating in it as well, which that's a pretty big number, really.
I agree. To steer the conversation towards a different thread, have you guys heard about how Blizzard has started up the vanilla servers on World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
Yeah, EQ did that too. It was annoying.
Yeah, I just heard about that.
Yep. Yeah, they actually, the writing was kind of on the walls when the privately run servers were starting to get, cease and desist orders. It's like, why would they let something that's gone on for this long suddenly be shut down? Oh, yep, because they're going to do it themselves.
Yep.
So do you think that's a form of listening to the player base, or that's more of...
More money.
Yeah, I thought you.
It's just more money.
I think it's
That's
actually.
how it is.
Well, in this one, it's actually a combination of both, because the reason it's gone this long was a lot of that. It takes a lot of actual more development time than you. It's not just something you can copy and paste. Because there have been quality of life upgrades that I don't know when they say it's vanilla. You still have to wonder how vanilla it is, because, if you really like it, a lot of these games, like if we went back to like an ESO vanilla, nobody wants that, for one, because it was awful. But, it takes a lot of development time. They're going to have to put, tens of thousands of dollars into server structure and things like that. So I think it's a combination of trying to give the players what they want, but also maybe... a lot of that old content, especially for World of Warcraft, isn't even available now. So they have all that stuff sitting on server, sitting in, on a server blade somewhere, completely unused because they redid it after Cataclysm. So the original player experience of something like World of Warcraft it doesn't exist anymore right now.
But the thing is, when you go back on those servers, like when EQ did it, which everyone said was a lot of fun, blah, 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 blah. But when I went back, it wasn't the original game.
Yeah, and
it was a cleaned up version of the original game.
Yeah.
And a lot of the old stuff was gone. And that was what I wanted to see.
Yeah, and that's one thing you'll have to see, because obviously...
Well, I got a question. Are they targeting, like, us players that have been in games longer, or are they maybe trying to draw in newer
Well, it's a bit of
players,
both. I mean,
younger.
really, they're trying to get the nostalgia vote, which comes from people who
Yeah.
used to
Although with
play.
WoW, that's 15 years old almost now, so there's
Yeah.
some nostalgia for that. That's 'cause it
Yeah, they're
doesn't
trying to
exist.
bring back a lot of the old players that left when they changed everything up. And they're trying to get new people who don't remember what it was like. And honestly, I think since how it's usually executed in every game I've ever played where it's happened, they're really trying to just get new people who never played it.
That's
in
what
my
I was
opinion,
wondering when I heard about it.
Because I went as a former player and I went back into EQ and to play the old game. And they said it's going to be like going back 15 years to play the game. No, it wasn't. It was a blatant lie. It was nothing like it. But then I played 10 years ago. So I remember that. And
Yeah, 'cause
that was really depressing that it wasn't what I wanted
I
it to
didn't
be.
do that. So I remember I played EQ1 obviously when it first, like a year after it came out, and the window when you had your menu up was like shrunk down to like a quarter of the size, and all your stuff was around it. They didn't do that, did they?
No. Well, I'm talking EQ2, not EQ1.
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
yeah. In EQ1, in EQ2, we had to go get our shards, and we had to,
Yeah,
what was it called? Nectalos Forest was
right.
Owlbears. That wasn't there. So a lot of the stuff that was in the old game wasn't there because they didn't really go back to the beginning because all the changes that they made to the game were in place.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll have to see with Blizzard if they do it like that.
WoW has been really good at like when they announced that they were going to go back and up the engine and change everything up and redo the game. I think everybody was really skeptical, but they did.
But they Blizzard had kind of an ugly period in the middle, but they unlike most of the developers, they learned from it because like I know their latest expansion is supposed to have a shit ton of content compared to even what like Final Fantasy and EQ2 and ESO just recently had. So I mean they've learned what people really, really want.
Yeah, and all EQ did was take zones that used to be the thing, leave the old zone untouched and unfixed, and then we make a new zone with the new content and the new graphics, updated stuff.
Just slapped on top, yeah.
But it was just this little quickie kind of thing. It was only for people that were max level, and it was only a short thing. It was only a few quests, and everybody loved it. But I was annoyed because imagine if they had put that expense into going back and redoing that zone for real.
Yeah,
so that it could be played.
Like what World of Warcraft did with Cataclysm.
Right.
Where they redid a lot of their old zones and stuff, which was a ballsy move. And for them, it worked at the time. So it's not a lot of them aren't willing to do that, to undo old content.
Which they should, because a lot of those old zones are empty because they've made it.
Right. You're not losing any actual content because nobody does them.
And I'll be honest, hearing all this stuff about WoW, it's tempted me to check in to see like what kind of RP community they have and maybe check out the game.
You definitely want to go to Goldshire.
No, you don't want to go to Goldshire.
No, you don't want to go to Goldshire.
Don't go to Goldshire. Okay.
There's always been roleplay there, but it's
yeah.
a very small. It's like EQ. It's a
Which
very
is strange
small,
because it's
small group.
They've literally got multiple
Absolutely
times
no
more.
support.
Yeah, but they've got millions of players. You would think that community, but a lack of support for roleplay on the part of a developer really can destroy. Nothing destroys a roleplay community faster than the devs hating them.
There have been people who've been roleplaying there for 10 years and who swear by it. So it's not, even though it's not my cup of tea, it's certainly, some people like it and there's nothing wrong with that.
No. So, well, you got anything else, Mikey, before we let you go?
Yeah, one last thing. So we have just happened upon the 2-year anniversary of Orsinium, right?
Yeah.
Back in those days where when they released the DLC, it was a whole song. I've kind of noticed a trend where they haven't really, in my opinion, stuck to those standards of releasing zones per DLC, with the exception of, obviously, Morrowind.
Yeah, but that was an expansion, not a DLC, so they have to do it with that. If you don't release a zone with an expansion, but even that was only one. Like bringing World of Warcraft back into it, that expansion they have, what was that, 5 zones that they added with that one expansion where we got 1?
Right. And with the recent DLC, Clockwork City, Horns of the Reach, and one other thing that I can't remember, they kind of pale in comparison to Orsinium, don't you think? So do you think that there's a law of diminishing returns going on there, that they haven't really been able to deliver to the standards they've upheld in the past, or there's something more going on there?
I know on the aspects, Final Fantasy XIV is the same way. It's been diminishing returns with all their content updates after their main expansions, and I think it seems like I want to hope that Sauce doesn't follow. They'll follow the example of Blizzard. I know they also have an extra. Let's see, ZeniMax has an extra $500 million they won in the lawsuit against Oculus Rift. So they should have the funds to help support their stuff without even really having
But
to
they
blink an
probably
eye.
poured that into another game, and they didn't.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, the money's there. It's not a money issue with these guys, at least. It has to be either a staffing issue, or they're just, or as games get older, they do tend to cut back staff and things like that, which of course it's a vicious cycle of return. But not having been in ESO, I've only been playing for about a year here, coming up early next year now, since I got back. Just based off of what I've seen had come out before, obviously because I get to play it after the fact, like the Brotherhood and Orsinium, and those were Orsinium was a huge zone, then Brotherhood was a little bit smaller, then the Thieves one is about the same size as the Dark Brotherhood one, and then the Clockwork City seems to be smaller than all of those. So it does seem like they're slowly
already shrinking. Yeah, they're already shrinking, and it's just the game isn't even that old, so they really need to take a hint. That's a quick way to kill your game.
Yeah, and only one zone for Morrowind. We didn't even get all of Morrowind. We didn't get Blacklight. We didn't get Necrom. We actually don't have all of Morrowind in the Morrowind expansion. We just got the island of Vardenfell.
Right.
So yeah, it seems like they could, because they could have added, if they had an expansion. For me, it needs to be more than one zone. Maybe it's because I'm an old gamer and that's how, like an EverQuest expansion, it was multiple zones. You got entire new continent, and you got multiple zones within that continent, and we got literally one island. Right. So yeah, it does seem like I don't know if they're getting, if it's lazy, if it's money, or what it is, but just lack of direction could be as well. But yeah, thinking of it, I would say you're right. There's probably a diminishing returns, but it's an unfortunate thing that seems to happen with a lot of MMOs. And I don't know what we can do to fix that, other than
I don't think we can, because they
firebomb the building.
Don't even say that.
Yeah, that was, and for anybody listening, that was Mikey. He has a little cat picture and is not affiliated in any way with our show.
I swear.
But yeah. Well, I appreciate you calling in, Mikey.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thanks, Mikey.
All right, appreciate it. You have a good one, bud.
Keep being beautiful.
Always.
He was talking to me and Jazz, by the way.
Oh, no, sure, if you say so. I like to think otherwise.
You just keep thinking that way. He was talking to me and Jazz.
Everybody knows it. Everybody knows I'm the pretty one. Mm-hmm.
You're so...
All right, so with that, we got Sib. You want to do your thing?
There's another news article. Mine's just a little bleh.
Okay,
So-
well, we're an hour and 10 minutes into it, so let's go. We're not even to our main topic yet.
So, Jazz,
So go ahead and hit it up, ladies.
Okay, well, I was reading about Massively OP, which is probably the biggest place that I read about everything.
I do that same
just
thing.
kind of,
Yeah.
I just type it in, it always comes up, and I always go look at it. And the link that I connected to was on the Daily Grind, and it said, "What's keeping you from going back to your favorite MMO?" And of course, we've talked about this on a couple of occasions, even today. And I was reading through the comments, and EQ actually made it, which was really funny. That EQ made the cut of people being pissed at it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not surprised there.
So, like gameplay became too complicated. I'd love to revisit EQ2, but going back every 2 years leaves a huge learning curve that I try to work through, but finally give up on and move to a game I can play with having to look up every little new thing. Definitely one of my things.
Not to mention 5 to 6 bars worth of fucking
well,
skills.
The very first thing they say, though, is the community having grown toxic to the point I don't join guilds, I shut off general chat, and I don't socialize with anyone.
God, is that not sad but true?
It is. It's so true. And I think that for me, that was, I would love to go back to Star Wars tour, but the RP community moved away, so there really wasn't any point. And it's just a single player game that's pretending to be an MMO. So it was really hard for me to do that. But if EQ updated their graphics engine and redid their quests, redid their zones, and breathed some life back into their game, I'd go back, at least to play it. Yeah. But in its current state, where every single expansion is a complete redo and has been for 3-5 years, somewhere in there.
So, yeah,
every single expansion has been a complete redo where you have to relearn an entirely new way of doing everything. XP is different. All the AA is different. Everything is different. But it's not changing for the whole game, just the zones they release. And it's just ridiculous. And I hope ESO never, ever does that, but I'm not naive.
Yeah.
So...
it really just depends if they can, they did good with ESO after they did the one Tamriel. They brought it back a lot of people, but so did Final Fantasy 14, and they're now been stuck in a rut for their last 2 expansions after their relaunch, and they're shedding players like crazy because of it.
Yeah, because they get their bulk of their money. They pay off all of their investors. And then they lay off half the staff. They have 2 hamsters and a couple of people who do art, and then everyone else moves on to new games. You can't run a game like that. Not and keep it. So it's sad that they have so little regard for all the hard work and the amazing art and the amazing lore that their games could be if they just focused. And I know I'm, harping, but it's just one of those things that annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's understandable because we get attached to the game. We want to keep playing it. We want it to keep doing well, and it's like they give up on this. The other half of us gives up on the relationship when we're still trying to make it work.
Yeah, they've moved on.
They're already seeing their side bitch on the side, and they're like, yeah, well, we got this other game coming up that we're working on in secret. They're right. cheating. They're cheating on us.
And let's not even get into what happened with AOC with Secret World, which is why I refused to play Secret World initially, was because it was the other woman and got all the pretty presents, and they flushed that game down the toilet after it had out a year. And,
something like that, yeah.
And they're still going, but it's just a worthless game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when that happens, when the game you love just the company moves on from it without letting you know that they've moved on from it, in the hopes that you won't notice for another year or 2.
Yeah, it's just a money play, and it really makes me cynical. Shh.
Tell her, cat.
I told him he could lay here if he could be quiet, and he's been quiet until just now.
He had to speak. He felt you get irritated, so he had to show his irritation, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right, so moving on, Sib, what did you have for your survey?
Oh, I posted on the Discord channel and the Facebook page. I'm naming it Sib's Silly, Sometimes Serious Survey. And nice. I'm just going to throw out weird questions, and sometimes they might be serious ones. But my first one was, what was your favorite color and why? And I only had 4 answers, and it's my 4 friends, of course.
Of course.
And of course,
we all love you.
Yeah, thank you. I need it. But mine was deep green, and it's just because I love the color green just reminds me of like the beginning of spring and something fresh, nature, just brings me back to that kind of mindset. My other friend Cersei, hers was blue, and I loved her reason. She said it was because player 1 is always blue, which
is a great reason.
yeah, that's
It is
an
a great
awesome reason. And she also said it was calming. But when you're player 1, can you really be calm? I mean,
I don't think so. Yeah,
I don't either.
But blue is a calming color.
You're
so
better off
that-
in player 2. At least you're actually playing. Here, take this, little sister.
Yeah, they make player 2 red because you have blood on you all the time. So
Yeah.
Just hand my sister the remote control that wasn't plugged in. Oh yeah, you're doing real well.
my kids did that all the time. It was really funny. I did that.
Sad.
When they were little, I would just hand them and I'd play, and they'd be thinking they were playing along, and I was like, I am such a horrible parent.
You would tell them they were the one winning.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
that's you
You're
right
like,
there.
That's
See?
you. That's you. No, you're
Good
doing
job,
great.
you're winning. And they finally, Xander was like 4, and he figured it out. And he's like, Mommy, what? You're full of it. That's you. And I was like, no, it's not. It's you, fibber. Oh, fine. And I handed him the remote.
That
Here.
is so funny.
I was so busted. I had no way out.
And then, let's see. Ashen said his was purple. And I'm assuming because the Joker and Cersei said it's Princely and the Joker.
Yeah,
Am I right?
just always liked purple.
And then our sweet, sweet Jazz, she said hers is orange, teal, and purple. But if we had to twist her arm, she would go with orange.
Yes.
And I got to ask why, because you didn't specify why it was orange.
Orange is the color of fire.
Ah,
Fire
Okay.
isn't really red. Fire is orange.
I have to agree. It really is orange.
Yeah. So whenever somebody's like, well, red is fire. Well, no, actually, red is not fire. Orange is fire. And
Red is warning.
because-
Stop.
Yes, yes. I have a redhead, so that's nature's way of saying, look out! Toxins ahead, yeah. And I've always felt that my personality is orange because I'm a mix of red and yellow. Yellow is because I'm happy and cheerful most of the time, and red because, wow, don't get me mad. So between those two, you mix them together, you get red, you get orange. So I've always liked orange, and I like having an orange phone and things like that. So it's definitely, of those 3, orange, teal, and purple. Orange is probably my more favorite colored, but I only have one orange shirt because orange. And it's a construction orange, and I look really good in it, which is funny because that just means I was destined for prison, I think.
So awesome.
It's this orange shirt. It looks like it's this orange kind of fake turtleneck thing, and I wear it, and people are like, "Where'd you get that?" Not in prison. It's just a good color. Leave me alone. And then teal is. I have a lot of teal in my clothing, and purple. So the other 2 are probably not a shock, but I really do like orange more. But who can paint anything orange? Because like my room is bubble yum pink.
Ooh.
Because pink is very calming to me. It's not my favorite color, and a lot of people is. I have a lot of pink that I wear because I look good in it. But pink is calming to me, which is like the opposite of most people.
I know every time I think of the color orange, I think sunset. I don't know why. It's just orange is a sunset.
Yeah. Sunsets and sunrises and
Shock to
butterflies.
nobody, I only think of Halloween.
Yeah, and Halloween's a really good time for me to buy clothes because I can get both summer and winter clothes in orange right around September. If I look. So I wear a lot of browns and oranges when I...
Up.
Did we lose Jess?
Did we? Am I here?
Oh,
there
no.
you go. You
It
just
cut off. Oh, okay. I panicked.
Oh, weird.
We lost Jess.
All right.
But no, that's my little surveys. I'll probably throw one up between now and the next show. And if you want to, just hop in there and participate. It's not nothing big. It's just, getting to know people and
Trying to
getting to know
interact
us.
and stuff.
Yeah. So that was my thing.
Yeah, we're all trying to work on interacting with you guys better to the bestest of abilities of the besternest. Because we like you for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, most of you are right. I mean, that Mikey guy's a little, right? I mean, whoo, that guy.
And I'm a hugger, so I can't actually get out there and hug you people, so I just kind of have to do weird things like fill in surveys.
Like stalk you and find
Yeah.
out where you live online.
I'm not Ashen. I'm not looking at windows.
Oh, burn.
All right, so let's go ahead. We'll
And
push this
finally
thing
get on our
forward.
main topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and quickly do the word from our sponsor. It comes every year. You let it into your house. You let it near your children. You let it at your dinner table. And it always starts innocently. Just like that greedy gnome neighbor of mine. And it escalates quickly. You know, I'm not racist, but hailing from a different age. They say dwarves are hard workers, but I tell you, I've never seen them do anything but drink. They think they tell it like it is. All I'm saying is, gnomes run the world's banks. I mean, if you think about it, how many gnomish bankers do you know? They can kill a conversation with the spoken word. Look, I'm not trying to be racist, but all of them pale-skinned tree elves, they can't ride a horse or drive a cart on the road like us normal folks. It's those eyes of theirs. I don't think they can see. They just can't help it. This Thanksgiving, he's coming to your house, and you let him in. I'm just saying, if humans are so hardworking, why don't they stay where they were born and make their lands better instead of coming here and taking our jobs from them hardworking dark elves? What? Racist granddad coming to a dinner table near you. All right.
Oh my God. This is why I love you.
That one made
Yeah.
my tummy
We
hurt.
all know them.
Oh yes. Pretty much my whole family.
Your whole family thinks gnomes run the world's banks? Wow. You have a weird family.
Let me tell you, I can fill up an entire. Yeah, good thing they're all dead.
Good riddance. You know how them rednecks is.
Yeah, you know where we get our Thanksgiving dinner, right? We just hang out on the turnpike and wait.
I was going to say spam.
Did you say spam?
Kansas. Nothing says Thanksgiving like cans of spam roasted over an open fire.
Oh
I
my
know what
gosh.
says it better. If you shape the spam like a turkey.
I actually did that one year for a laugh.
Did you?
Yeah.
How did
was
it work
great.
out? I'm curious now.
They were like, "Why is the turkey red?" So I really didn't like. I was like, but it was really funny for like 30 seconds, and then I was like, "Psych! I have a turkey. Breathe, everybody, breathe."
Oh my god. Oh
My
no.
grandma, can I take that home? Yeah.
Yeah, no, don't worry, Nadith. I insult spam because I absolutely love it. We make redneck sushi out of it.
Yeah.
So no, I'm from California. I've grown up on spam. It is
We're
the canned
spam eaters.
meat that can't be beat.
My kids, when they were little, they loved it. I can't eat it. I don't know if it's the texture or the saltiness is just too much. But when you're really hungry and you're poor, when I was young, we ate a lot of spam.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, if you're from
Yeah.
Hawaii, then you've got spam running through your blood, Nadith.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's one of the reasons.
Hawaii, isn't it?
Is it sad that one of the main reasons I want to visit Hawaii is not for the beautiful beaches, the lovely place, and the tourist and all that stuff? It is because I want to try all the spam delicacies
Spam and Kona coffee.
and Kona coffee.
That's funny.
Yeah, I love spam. So anyway, so as we're moving on, Sib's got a little thing real quick, and we'll hit our main topic.
Okay. Don't laugh at me, guys. This is one of my first times do this. Hi. How are you? Yeah, I'm Sib. Ashen and Jazz are around here somewhere. Man, I am so glad you could join us. Dang, sorry, manners. Come on in. Look, you're wearing your sweatpants. Trust me, you won't regret it. You should see all the food. Tarek, hey, he's from WoW. He brought some run tum tuber surprise. That's a tongue twister. And rhino-licious worm steaks. Mmm. Oh, hey, there's Ashen. Look, he's talking to Jedi Xanis. They're probably discussing gel meat sandwiches. Yuck. Gel meat, am I right? Where does that come from? Oh, look, there's Yori. She's in from Final Fantasy XIV. And she brought the Chocobo deviled eggs and some mashed pot potatoes. Yeah, I can't wait to dig into those. Oh, and there's Miri. Mary, she brought the Jum Jum cider and some creamed anatonic, oh my gosh, I'm tongue twisted.
Antonica.
Coffee, all the way from Norath. Thanks, Mary. And oh, wait, there's Win and Kari. They just showed up from Guild Wars 2. And yeah, they supplied the Om berry pie and winterberry sherbet. Oh, I can't wait. Here, we saved this seat just for you. Feel free to sample anything and enjoy. And happy Thanksgiving, turkey, gobble, let's eat some food, hang out with friends and family, or whatever you wish to call it day. From us here at RPMMO Radio. And that was my little deal.
There you go. That wasn't bad at all, hon.
I'm just not really good at that kind of stuff, but...
That was really well done.
No. You only get better with practice. Or if you're just complete jackass like I am that has no self-awareness or ability to care what anyone thinks about them.
Well, I kind of wanted to do something special since it was Thanksgiving, and I brought in a lot of the characters. I had to look them up on our the Shadows and Dreams engine. Yeah. Because I couldn't remember their names or how to spell them, so I was like, okay, I'm tying all our characters into this.
Yeah, see, people liked it.
Thank you, people.
Apparently, Smock has the same headset as, gotta be me, because I'm the only one on there. It's not a bad one. I like it. Although the light-up lights are, I feel like a cat with a laser. It's got, for those that can't see my headphones, they got red lights on it when in the dark, and at times I feel like it's like a cat with a laser pointer. Like I see it out of the corner of my eye, and I gotta constantly look. But other than that, it's not that bad. So, on to our main topic, which we have left ourselves a good solid 30 minutes to get to. That's all right. It's just a fun one. We're just having kind of a good time. It's basically, RP banquet dinners, which I know we've all three here done. An old guild we were all in, the Spectre Cartel. They actually used to do it because they were a mafia family thing. They didn't do it all the time, but every month or two probably, they would do a big a gathering feast of all those in the organization to.
I thought it was once a month.
It was something like it kind of went off and on, so it was about that every two. But they'd get together and everybody would they'd sit around the table like a family, because that's what we are. We're family. You don't disrespect the fucking family, otherwise you're gonna be on the table next year. That kind of thing. And it was actually a lot of fun. And of course we're doing this because there's apparently some big holiday again. Thanksgiving, I guess, is fucking a week away. Anybody else get completely taken aback by oh yeah, Thanksgiving's next week. You should probably get a turkey. I guess it was just me. But yeah,
No,
so
I was.
yeah, I know
Last
you were
week somebody
too.
said it was like Thanksgiving. I'm like, what? Because we have it here at the house, and I'm like, I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared.
No, it's totally just like cold cock me on the side of the head. But when it comes to role play, you actually plan these things out. So I've actually always enjoyed like some of my favorite role play is taking, like happens at banquets and things like that, where your guild gets together or a bunch of friends and you're all eating around the table. Yeah, I've brought it up before, I think, but like that's one of my favorite scenes in all of Firefly was the episode. I think it was Burn, where like the ship, the engine room exploded. But before that all happened, they were all gathered around the table like a family, and they had made a cake out of like protein. Basically, it was pretty much what they had just ate, but it was just like a real. You could tell it was more like a family moment than just a crew, or like something you get from a lot of things. And I've always liked those moments in role play.
Agreed.
Well, thanks for timing it, Jess.
Well,
that's why you're here.
leave me be.
Never. So, yeah, that's kind of with that. So, like this was largely done by Sib. So I don't know why I'm taking over for her. Why don't you take this, Sib? This is kind of your idea and your thing. So I don't know why.
Well, you're the leader. You're the
I
leader.
am, but so I am.
I was trying to help out with, we've trying to change things up, and so I told him I would write down, a list of things for the topic this show. So, the first one was basically what banquet dinners have you participated in, and I know the one he mentioned in the Spectre Cartel. I'd been to that one several times, and it was more like a meeting. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I've been able to participate in other ones. I'd have to think on it now that my brain's kind of went. But if you guys, Jess, have you participated in any?
Oh, other than in Silver, we always had one.
Yeah, we would do one every now and then too in Silver Circle as well. Yeah. And yeah, they are very good in-character bonding moments. They can, like Smock said, they're good for growing the in-character bonds and keeping a guild nice and tight and giving everyone a chance to air grievances and things like that. And I wasn't trying to pass it off on you, Sib. I just realized I was like, well, we're practicing because coming next year we're going to probably be doing more episodes, and because I don't want to lose my mind by doing outlines for every single one of them every week. We're going to start probably each doing one topic every week on our own. And oh, by the way, Jess, that's we haven't let you know that, but you're about to have to do like all the work. I'm just gonna dump it all on you. You've got time. You've only got what 15 kids in the house now.
Yeah, at the moment I have an extra boy.
But no.
But the next one was is there a favorite like game that had the better like, I don't know, setup for this? Is like EQ2 good setup? I know I've not done the like the banquet type dinner in ESO yet, so I don't know how that would work. I know we have had a meeting at a table, which that seemed to go pretty good. But
yeah, usually what we end up doing is
sitting around a bar, isn't it?
Well, usually we have when we have banquets and stuff, which is what we usually did, you have a big table and you cover it with food if food's an option in your game. And you all sit around and pretend to eat.
And do you think it's necessary to have anything on the table, or can...
Well, no, but it adds ambiance. It adds ambiance, but like in ESO, that'd be harder because they really don't have as much cooked, prepared food to set out.
Yeah.
Like in EQ, we had everything you can imagine, pies.
Yeah.
I mean,
turkeys,
everything.
hams,
Yeah.
plates that came pre-prepared with food already on them as one item.
Yeah, well, they have that in ESO, but it also, the housing limits how much stuff you have, trust me, because I just started decorating and I got so frustrated with it because I can't do what I want. But...
And then, of course, if more people, and that was one good thing for it all comes down for these things for good housing too, because if you've got a limit on how many people can be there, you can't do that in a huge guild because, you know, like the cartel, man, 12 people, there were way more than 12 people at those gatherings. Hello?
I'm here.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Like when I stop talking, you can just say something, guys.
We're
It's all right.
listening to you.
But, okay, and how many people are a good amount? I mean, do you like the smaller, more intimate groups, or do you guys like the more?
Well, I'm that sick person that types 100 words a minute and reads really fast. So I do not mind really big groups. So like in Silver Circle, we had upwards of 100 people at one point in the guild. And because we kicked you out if you were gone for too long, everybody was active. So when we would have a get together, we'd have upwards of 50 people in the room at any given time. So there was always a lot of spam. And I think maybe 50 is a little much, but 20 people is probably the sweet spot, at least for me.
Yeah, I do prefer smaller groups of like 5 to 10. I can do bigger than that, but that's kind of the spot I like to do it in. Smock in the thing was saying Fallen Earth, which is a game I never actually played. I'm aware of it though. Wasn't good for it, but they had a few on there way back in the day, which if you were playing Fallen Earth would have to have been way back in the day. They were fun, albeit smaller. Yeah, so there's definitely limitations based on the game you're playing, and you have to, like Circe said, you have to imagine like it's Peter Pan from the Hook scene where they just imagined all the food, and then once he was able to do that, all the food appeared until, of course, Rufio breaks it out on a coconut.
I don't think I could do 20, Jazz. I mean, that would be pushing the limit for me because
really?
I'm not a fast typer. But I think 5 to 10 I think would be good. I know that when we would do the banquets at the cartel, I would get a little stressed out. But that was also, about a year or so ago, so I'm a little bit more comfortable.
Oh, that was way more than a year. Was
it?
That was like 3 or 4 years ago now, hon. That was
I
if not
can't
further.
keep track anymore.
A year ago, we were just starting ESO and playing Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, no, it's been you were still very new to roleplay at the time, so that's definitely understandable.
But no, I wish I would be more comfortable around a larger group, and I've done events with larger groups, but it's so hard to talk to everybody, and whenever you put everybody around a banquet table, you kind of have more of a chance to, it can't get, more personal if you're talking to just the person next to you.
Yeah, well, and it can't, because it's like when you're at, like, for example, Thanksgiving, if you grew up with a big family like I had, we would all go to my Aunt Mary Lou's out in California, and there'd be, 20, 30 people at her house all there for Thanksgiving dinner. And really all you did was talk to the, 3 or 4 people in your direct vicinity, because it was everything beyond that was just a cacophony of them, you know how them elves is, But it was a good way to get to know your family members just by who you sat on. And when you do that in roleplay, it's pretty much you'd have to go off the same thing, because if you base roleplay off of somehow some things work in the real world, you can't really track every single conversation. So just focusing on big groups like that or on the people directly around you, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, and I mean, I like to listen to everything, so I get kind of distracted. I'd be like talking to the person next to me, and then all of a sudden I'm off looking at the people down the table trying to hear what they're saying. I'm a nosy person.
Yeah, and Smock, if you do get to the larger groups, it does end up having the click. I can't say the word.
Cliche or clicky.
The click effect, yeah. The cliche.
I went with
the
cliche,
click
but that was so wrong.
But like we were saying, it's just you kind of basically do the people around you. But yeah, and of course it's like most things. That's actually an episode we're gonna have to do one time, is clicks in roleplay, because a lot of people say it in a negative way, and sometimes it can be, but it's also just something that forms. You can only really know so many people and have enough time for so many people. But that might be something we have to hit on sometime. I'd be interested to hear what everybody has to say about roleplay clickies. Clickais? Clacks, clackus, clacks, nos, feratus, clackus.
I'm not for sure how you actually say that.
Click.
It's clicks.
Clicks.
Click.
Yeah, clicks.
Yeah,
That's
just
a
like
topic.
click. Yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
what I've been wanting to get to for a while, but I keep forgetting. So, all right.
And those are a pet peeve. We'll have to
Yeah,
about
I
that
think
sometime.
that'd be an interesting one to have a conversation on. So, but anyway, moving on with feasting. What you got? What's next?
Well, I didn't put it up there, but okay, I know you guys have played a lot of games. I'm
Mhm.
curious to what strange foods you have heard of. I know one thing I always heard Ashton say was bat wing crunchies, and I'm like, what
Yes.
is that?
EverQuest 2, man. Awesome.
Oh no, that's original EQ right there. That's 1999 EverQuest. That was one of the first
no, that-
things that
and
was
pickles.
worth eating.
Pickles.
Pickle
So
pickle
what are
people.
some weird foods you guys have heard of? What RPing they're, people
Well,
have made up?
Well, the things I think
Anything
that
from
we
Gormal.
Yeah, anything from Gormal. Well, most of the stuff that he actually had was like based in lore. Things that trolls would have available to eat in various quests in EQ1. But it was always very, kind of,
Granny Clampett's roadkill stew.
Yeah, basically. So there was a lot of that, and it was always fun because a lot of people would get like nauseous when we talk about stuffed eyeballs and things like that, because that was a big deal. Because in EQ, unlike a lot of games that I've played since, cannibalism isn't a thing. So I know, shock, right? So, but in EQ, it was part of their lore, particularly with dark elves and trolls and ogres, all
Evil
of the
races.
underworld.
You want to make something evil?
Yeah.
Make it eat other races.
Yeah. So that was always fun because my character was definitely partaking in that and never had a problem with troll food. So that was always fun when Gormal would have his big feast every year. We'd all go, and most people spend it green, and there's Vaca with this big pile of food chowing down. It's like the only time of the year you ever saw her eat anything was during this. Eating stuffed eyeballs, they're squirting out of her mouth, and she's just having a great time. Yeah, it was great.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Wasn't there okay, I know we've mentioned it before, but wasn't there a tavern or a club in EQ2 that actually
Yeah, what was that one?
served?
You mean
the
a
cannibal
player
one.
run?
The player run cannibal thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really go to it
and
but
I
once
forget
or
what
twice.
it was called, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it before it turned all toxic.
Yeah, they decorated
really
it
enjoyed-
amazingly too.
Yes, the person that decorated it is one of those people that was just gifted, and so it was gifted. It was just made amazingly, and it was a place where the troll in the kitchen, you'd yell what you wanted, and there was like halfling kidneys and things like that, and you'd hear him kill them because they'd scream. Ah! And yeah, it was fantastic fun. It was so much fun, and it fits so well into the lore of the game. To have fresh, somebody say, I would like some wood elf ears, please. And, then they would go and they'd bring the ears because they cut it off of some poor sap in the cages. So it was, yeah.
Yeah. Brutal, but very funny and clever in a sadistic sort of way.
And I'm
Right.
sure
And so there were
Ashton
vampires and
halfling
werewolves and
and-
demons and all those people. And of course the regular dark elves who were very cannibalistic, if they were true to lore.
Yeah. Yeah, which
so-
mine wasn't because he was a good guy. So he went there once. I was like, I can't come back here. Otherwise, I'm going to try to kill everybody.
Yeah.
Which is ironic.
And Miri's, because Miri's like his granddaughter. So
Yeah.
I had to think for a second. Step granddaughter, but granddaughter. No, really granddaughter because he adopted her.
Granddaughter, yeah.
So granddaughter. And she'd just sit there mowing down. She was very much into troll food as well. So it was always a lot of fun. That's my favorite game of all time to eat at because there was such a sense of naughtiness to it that just made it fun.
Yeah, that most games don't go anywhere. They don't touch
No.
on. I think the closest to even go anywhere near that would have to have been Age of Conan.
Yes, Age of Conan had some pretty Well, they had a lot of food lore, but it wasn't cannibalism.
Yeah, but I mean,
So-
it did exist for the, not necessarily like the people we were playing, but it existed in
Yes.
like the NPC enemies and like the tribes and
Yes.
stuff. They were
You do quests and
cannibalistic.
they'd have like somebody there that's been cut up and
Yeah,
they're all
and they were-
feasting around.
yeah.
See, I missed out
So
on
that
that
was
one.
there.
I
Yeah.
missed out on Age of Conan.
Age of Conan was a lot of fun.
Well, they seriously, they weren't so much Teardal weren't cannibals in the sense that they necessarily ate like themselves, but they would eat other sentient races, like the pickled things like that. They actually, it was there, but not necessarily that they would eat like their own kind. Which I don't know is it technically still cannibalism if you're eating another sentient being? I don't know. Maybe there's another.
It's
there's
not
another word
considered
for it.
cannibalism
It's
because
not.
they didn't eat dark elves. That was a sin. But halflings with an apple in their mouth was a thing.
Right. But there's not really a
and-
word because human beings don't have another dominant species on our planet to really call anything other than
Right.
cannibalism.
Right.
There's no. We'll
and
have
it's
to make up a new
important to
word.
note that dark elves don't even have a word for incest. So, they're a completely different group of folk. So they were a twisted bunch. So it was always important to keep that in mind when you were role-playing.
Yeah, which is something like it's playing Dark Elves
there
in
was,
almost
like,
every game. You
halfling
kind of have to
pickle.
go to the racist.
Yeah. They had pickles that had all the races. You could get except for dark elf. You could
Boomba.
get-
Boomba.
Yeah, Boomba, and he sold pickles, and he's still there. The last time I was there, he's still there.
Well, it was
Do you
Boomba.
remember him?
He was Boomba in EverQuest 1, and then it was like his great grandson, like Boomba, who they just kept the name in EQ2.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was a family business, clearly.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's him, and there's a couple of places where you can get it was at the tavern that they tore down, but I believe you could order halfling shank or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, something like that.
yeah. So, I mean, it was still there. It was always very low key, and if you really weren't aware of the lore, you wouldn't even get that he was a pickle
hey,
salesman of people.
There's something for you,
Oh.
Jez. Corridor in the
What?
chat says the slaughtered skeever is like that in ESO. The
Is he?
I get
Is it?
whatever it is. Yeah, you might have to hit him up and find out what that is.
Slaughtered
That sounds fun.
Skeever.
Yeah, that's a pretty good name too, slaughtered skeever.
That's awesome.
Those things
I
look
know
like
that the wood
vagina.
elves in this game in ESO, of course, are cannibals in a fashion. They'll eat anybody or anything. So if
They're
you
like
if you
goats.
lose the battle anyway, so it's not just like any time they don't chow down on each other, but as a punishment, they all feast on their enemies when they win and things like that. So I thought it was a very interesting thing to add into the game because you don't see it very often. So it's always interesting when it's thrown in there.
Yeah.
I just heard, what did you say, Bosmer? I didn't hear the first
the
part.
Bosmer, yeah.
Yeah. I heard that just today. I was listening to something and they were talking about the Bosmer
Yeah, was it?
lore.
Yeah, Tales of Tamriel.
Yeah, Tales of Tamriel.
I have no problem
That's right.
promoting other people's good
But,
good
yeah.
podcasts on here. He does
And
pretty good.
they were talking about that, and I thought, I didn't know that.
Yep, if
Makes
you do their
sense now,
quests,
Raheel.
if you do their quests, you find that out pretty early on. That if you lose, if you're slaughtered, then you get eaten. And
Yeah.
there's actually an interesting quest because they knew that their enemies who were traitors would eat them when they lost. So they all poisoned themselves prior to the battle.
Wow.
So
that's
that-
interesting.
So that their enemies would then die by eating them. And they did. They all perished, and you're actually talking to the ghosts. So it was a really fascinating quest line. Yeah.
See, I have a Bosmer, but I haven't played her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll have to do
Monk
that.
is right. They're just, you don't waste anything. So, and you're taking in their strengths and and honoring battle, and it's just kind of this way of getting one last thing over on your enemies or whatever. So, oh yeah, it's not like only some of the more feral older Bosmer actually still do it, but you get these quests where they'll be like, we're going to have to eat you because you've broken the rules. Sorry. Or like that one where if his wife, his wife was sitting there through half the quest and you don't figure out till the end that she's there because they're going to eat her. If he can't fix what he did wrong, they're going to eat her. And he signed a contract just to that point. So you're saving her. And it was, or not, actually, you could choose to go the other way and she'd get eaten. So, yeah.
Huh. No, I'll have to play through that one. I haven't.
Yeah,
like
I
said, I have
highly
one,
recommend
but
the Wood Elf lore and quest lines because they're fascinating.
Right now, I'm just trying to learn Dunmere lore, and because I don't know much about it.
Yeah, it's. I learned a lot because I played Cial, and I wanted to understand because it's a very different lore than normal Wood Elves, and I wanted to understand it. And I think the biggest thing that I stumbled on early on was I had been told that they can't eat anything plant-like. And that's actually not true. They just can't eat anything plant-like in the forest where they were raised. So once they're outside of their land, they can eat whatever plant they want.
Like farm-grown crops and shit like that, just not stuff of the forest.
They cannot harvest any plant, and they can only harvest what has been broken off or naturally fallen over like a storm. You just can't harm the forest of your own free will to get what you want. But people are like, oh, I can't eat that. And when they're in Riften, I always get a kind of a chuckle out of that because it's like, actually, they always look at Cial so weird because she gets carrots and potatoes. And It's like, what? I'm not home.
Yeah, that's one of those things where knowing the lore can,
Seriously, they do sound like ghosts.
Yeah.
Well, I think Ashen said that earlier about Bosmer. Or no, maybe, what did you say?
I think I said that. Yeah, they're basically like they're goats. They're they're elven
Waste
goats.
not, want not. They're my grandma. Waste not, want not.
Yeah.
Yeah, with her fermented lima beans.
Oh,
jeez. Yeah.
I
don't know
just
how my
regular
grandma
beans.
didn't die. I really don't.
They were
I don't know
tougher
how
than
she
we
didn't
are.
die.
That's why they were
Gelatin
just
beans.
tougher than we are.
My grandma was something else, man. But then again, she was also crazy. So there could be said that maybe that's why she's crazy. She was poisoning herself her whole life. So hard to say. No, that's...
They just were a different breed of people. Our
Well,
grandparents.
yeah. I mean, in a world where refrigeration is a thing, it's hard to imagine when it wasn't. She was raised in Missouri she was born in 1907. So they didn't even have electricity where she was.
Yeah, when your refrigerator consists of a guy coming by every now and then with a giant chunk of ice to throw in a box.
Yeah.
you learn to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
So what's up next? Keep going. You're doing fine. You're doing good.
Oh, good. I'm doing good. So how hard do you think these are to plan out, these banquet style RP events? Do you think they're,
I honestly think as events go, I think they're much easier.
Yeah,
it's a nice go-to event. Yeah, because you don't have combat usually.
As long
somebody's
as
an idiot.
The first time maybe a little bit more, just because if you're in a game with good housing, you'll have to decorate. If you really want to go all out. Which if you're going to make this effort to plan an event, always do your best as best you can. Mm-hmm. After that, like the cartel, they just used basically the same place every time, and maybe some small variations, but it was nothing overly elaborate once it was set up. So yeah, there really are some of the
EQ2. We could just save the plan.
Yeah.
Then put everything in storage on site, which was awesome, and they need to do here. And then put your old stuff down, and then all you had to do when it was a holiday is load that file in, and
we need to add that to the list of last week's show.
Yeah,
that needs to be something in
I
our
forgot all about that.
Perfect game.
Seriously, that's perfect.
Yeah, because that was really nice.
It was for guild halls and for houses. It was fantastic. We had a setting for when we entertained, so we had invisible walls up so people could go anywhere in the guild hall except to the bar. And then, so then we would take that down and load the other way. So it was always fun, easy to do. But that first time was a headache. But after that, it wasn't. Yeah, don't go telling Sia that. She just gets annoyed.
The antlers.
Everyone has antlers but her, and she gets so angry because just about every single Bosmer she knows has antlers. She's about ready to go get some fake ones and staple them to her head or something. So that she fits in better.
That Bill Murray movie, oh my God, not the Grinch, Scrooged, when they're trying to put antlers on the little mouse's head. Have you tried staples?
People's faces like, oh,
you better not.
But no, so they aren't too hard to plan out as events go, which is, it might be something worth, if you're new to RP or wanting to try an event.
Yeah, an event where you eat or you just stand around and talk.
They're a good starter event for anybody
Yeah,
wanting to try to do stuff.
They're a nice.
Like that. Yeah.
The next step up in complexity would be dances.
Yeah,
like
balls
balls
and
and,
stuff,
things like that. That's a little harder. And then the next one up after that is like theater events and things where there's a lot of people working together.
Yeah. So that would be a good thing to start out on if you're wanting to RP an event. And then let's see. I'm sorry. I feel like I shouldn't be going down the list because Ashen seems so smooth when he does this, and I'm reading I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm like, okay, here's number 6. But
yeah, that's why you're doing. We're all gonna learn how to do all the same stuff sooner or later, so that if one of us gets sick or can't make it, well, the show can go on with or without me here. Although that will be a little bit more difficult because everything runs through my computer, so I kind of have to be here.
And the next one is, it is good to have these when you're in a guild. That way your guild members get to know each other and have more of a chance to interact. I know Ashen, I've only been to like one of them in the Servants of the Tribunal, but they have them, a lot of times after meetings or something, they'll go down and just sit in the kitchen area and just shoot the shit. And so, it's a good way to bond. I think, who was it? Smock said that. Somebody in the Twitch TV chat said that, a good way to bond. And it is, just get to know the people.
Yeah.
And
getting to know your guild members, any event is good for that as long as there's no combat. I think combat tends to have the opposite effect, but it's fun, so people enjoy it. Yeah. But you need something where you can socialize with each other and get to know each other. And that's why we have in Alania, we have Thursday nights when we all get together at the tavern and just kind of mingle and get to know each other. Yeah. And I think that's really important because it helps you get more comfortable with each other.
Yeah, and you get to meet the new members of the guild. Like, I mean, I've been to the Thursday night thing, and there's people come in, and I'm like, oh, wow, we got new people.
Who are you? Yeah.
You get to meet, the new members, and it's really fun to just, have something like that where they can come in and, if I lost my train of thought. Gosh, dang, it's spreading.
Yeah, I think it's because we're hitting up towards the time limit on what we're aiming for.
Yeah, we're getting tired.
Like,
2 hours is a long time to talk.
Oh, and then the last thing was just the holiday lull, which we kind of touched on that.
Yeah, we can hit that again real quick. Just chill.
It's going to slow down.
You should talk like that more often. I like that voice.
It's going to slow down. No panicking. Everybody breathe. It will be over at the end of January.
Yes.
People always used to laugh at me because I would post that in our Facebook group, on our websites that we had, and I would post it in guild chat. And I had a macro where I would just push it like at least once, if not twice a day. I just hit it when there was a bulk of people on. Yeah, message of the day. It was always in the message of the day. So when you logged on, it was like,
hello. It's going to be slow. The guild is not dying. The sky is not falling. It is simply the holidays. Have a nice day.
Of course, except for the last 5 years before you shuttered the guild, the game was dying, and so was everything around it.
Well, that's true. I mean, you can't do anything about that.
But at even at the height of EverQuest 2's in the guilds, at the height of the guild and the game, it still happened, and people still always freaked out. At least
Every time.
At least a good half of them.
Over half.
Somebody would be like,
half.
Is the guild dying? No.
Oh, yeah.
I
we're
remember
here."
the first time I went through the holidays on a MMO, and I thought, I would ask Mike every day, are you sure everything's okay? Why is there nobody on? Why is it just me and you? And he would always be like, it's okay. It's not just, it'll be okay. There'll be more people on after the holidays. And I'm like, are you sure?
Mhm.
I got at least 10 tells a day, and not from my own guild either. It was also from other people's guilds going, man, I think my guild is dying. No one's logging on. And I would just, Jason would see me just hitting my head on my desk because I was just like, I would have to type it, and I had it saved so that it was just like something I control paste because I was just like, the guild is not dying. It is the holidays. Are you sure? Totally sure. It happens every year. I don't know. I don't remember this in my last guild, probably because you weren't there for the holidays.
Definitely still
Or
cracks
you
me
weren't
up.
in a roleplay guild where you don't even pay attention to who's really online half the time.
Yeah.
As
It
long
was
as there's
just-
people there to do your dungeon or your group thing, you're all
Yeah.
right. But when you're in a roleplay guild, you really notice when the people you roleplay with are
Well, I
suddenly
mean-
gone.
Even raid guilds. I met a guy that ran a raid guild in Eve online, and he and I were talking one day and at work, of all places, and he was like, we started talking about the holidays. He's like, oh my God, every year, Jesus.
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
was like,
it's just
yeah, it's
universal. It's
just-
just people get
Yep.
busy.
Yeah. Holidays are insane, especially when you work for a living.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
And then you have kids
So,
who are students, and
the
yeah.
students, a lot of a lot of people have retail jobs, and obviously this is not a good year to be in retail, or not a good season to be in retail. You're working longer hours. You may still work the same 8-hour shift, but you help 3 times the number of people, so you're exhausted.
And you're tired. You get home. You just want to turn on the boob tube and zone out.
and
You
drink
do
a
not
beer.
want to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Vegetate.
don't want to go deal with people. You just want to do whatever.
Well, yeah, and it's. I know it sounds silly to say, but it takes a lot of. You really have to. It takes a lot of focus and mental energy to really role play without sucking at it. And being new at it and sucking is one thing, but when you actually know what you're doing, and you just can't focus on something, it's like anything you can't focus on. It's a half-assed job, and it's not very satisfying, and you typically don't actually end up enjoying it, even though
Yeah.
you wanted
Yeah.
to do. It's like some of those things you really, really want. Like what you want it. Okay. So you're super looking forward to a party, and then you start to get feeling a little icky, or your allergies really kick in, and you're like, I'll just power through it, and you go to that party, and it's a miserable fucking experience. You
Yeah.
should have just stayed home in your pajamas and binge watched Punisher.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
and Jazz have mentioned before, whatever kind of mood you're in, sometimes it can carry over into your RP.
Oh, yeah.
And
Even
And you
so
don't
you don't
even
wanna
mean
do
it
that.
to.
even
Yeah,
us
it
veterans,
just happens.
It's just
Yeah.
can't help it. Human nature. Yeah.
And that's why, even in our rules, that was one of the things. It's like, look, everybody has a bad day. Everybody. Don't log in. Stay away. Go
Yeah.
knit. Go hit your little brother. Go shopping. Doesn't matter. Do something that you like to do other than be in a game, because whether you're a raider or whether you're an RPer, if you're in a pissy mood, everything is going to be affected. And then you have to live with the consequences later.
It's like,
Mhm.
it's again, like when
Exactly.
you're sick and you accidentally stub a toe or you bang something, it hurts 10 times worse.
Yes, because you already felt like crap, and now you feel like
and now you're like, God damn it.
yes, exactly. Well, that's like I've learned over the, because I'm old now, that when I'm sick, I will do what I have to do, and then I take my butt home, and that's what PTO is for. I'm not trying to win a trophy by not missing any days, and I just go home. Whereas a lot of the younger people are like, no, I can power through it. No, I'm going home.
I
Goodbye.
used to be like that too, and now I'm like, I earned that sick leave. If I, am, especially for a job like Sib and I have, where we're driving 4 or 5 hours a day, it's really not something you should power through, because somebody could get dead.
Yeah. You can make mistakes. And, I work with special needs and handicapped and challenged who have emotional issues. And if I'm feeling crappy, I'm going to have a hard time being sympathetic to someone who, you know,
Can't help how they are, yeah.
No. And you're just like, oh, God, shut up.
Not
and
to
you
mention,
don't want
you
to.
get the added bonus of making them sick, which is
Yes,
even
and then,
better.
Yes.
And that's
And
not
like
good.
one of my clients called me Friday morning and said, I'm throwing up, so I'm going to cancel. And I was like, oh, God. Because you know the stomach flu is 24 to 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen her twice in 3 days.
Yeah.
For 2 hours at a time, which means I'm going to get sick, right? So I told
Could
myself,
be.
no, I'm fine, because I have a compromised immune system. So if there's sickness around me, I've got a pretty good chance. So I went home. I didn't go home. I went to my next client, and I'm sitting there, and I'm starting to get waves of nausea. And I'm like, no, I'm just psyching myself out. I'm fine. And I went and I did what I wanted. She goes, why are you so red? And I went, what?
God damn it.
She's like, you're really red. And I looked in the mirror. She said, come here. And she was like, you're burning up. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. So I left. I left as soon as it was over with her. She actually sent me home a little early. She was like, go home, go to bed. And I was just like, yeah, she goes, you'd yell at me if I was trying. It's like, yeah, fine. I'll go
That's
home.
right.
Called my last client, was like, I'm not coming. He's like, well, I was really looking forward to it. And I said, well, I don't think you'll look forward to me puking in your lap. So I'm going home.
Or
He's
giving
like,
it
oh.
to you.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I don't want to get sick. I said, exactly. So I'm going home. I'll see you Monday. And that was the end of that. I went home, even though I really wasn't that sick, but I was running a fever.
It was coming on, yeah. Which
Yeah.
means
You're
you're
running a
contagious,
fever,
yeah.
and that's contagious.
Yes. I'm contagious. So I just went home. I went shopping, and then I went home.
And that's a good point right there too, Jazz. You know, in RP, it's nice to have somebody to tell you, hey, you're being a shit. You don't need to be here right now. Or,
Mhm.
hey, you know, something going on?
Gee,
Maybe you should log
Zen-
out.
Ash, and that sounds really familiar. Have we had that conversation?
Yeah, we brought that up on an episode a couple episodes ago. Yeah, and we've both done that for one another.
Yes, yeah. One time I was on Fuck, I was like snarling at everybody, and I really didn't think that my own personal, and he knew I was in a bad mood because of something that had happened in my real life. But I was trying really hard, but Baka was in a particularly bitchy mood. Not because of dice, it was just what I did, and I didn't realize I was doing it. And finally he was like, dude, you need to leave because you feel like shit and you're taking it out on everyone. So I did. I logged out. And it's happened, you know, and I've done the same for him when he came in and was just like, fuck this world, fuck this game. And I was like, you know,
had absolutely
it
nothing
might-
to do with my amazing ex-wife either. She was just
Yeah.
a great person to always lift my spirits
Oh,
by making me
yes.
feel like the biggest piece of shit ever.
And he would be just in this horror. I was like, dude, you know what would be really great right now is if you were not in game.
Yeah, or just go play the game and stop talking.
Yeah, or go level. Go put yourself on AFK and level. Let it go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So anyway, it was rather tangenty. We're good
Yep.
at tangents here.
whee! Yes, we are.
Tangerine
It's time to
tangents.
stop.
But anyway, so holiday lulls, don't worry about them. Have fun with your feasts and spend time with your guild. That was one thing I actually wanted to bring real quick, was another thing that was funny recently, because there was a lot of negativity stuff going on. Like, it was in character, not out of character. In the Servants Guild that I was in, the High Ordinator Officer actually made everybody go around the table and say something that they appreciated and liked about the other people at the table, as like a sort of group therapy thing, which was, of course, it's obviously cheesy as hell, but it was actually very fun and kind of interesting, you know, to get compliments from other people, even though they were being ordered to. But that's another not bad thing to actually do every now. It was really neat. It was fun.
That's my kind of cheese. I like that stuff.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
actually pretty neat.
Your nose is not too bulbous.
Yeah.
That's
Compared to the rest of you, your head doesn't look all that big.
Oh gosh. Oh.
And on that
Great.
note, let's call it to an end.
Yes. So, okay. So yeah, it helps if I actually push the button. I went push to talk early on so that Sib wouldn't echo. We don't know. It had no problem with that last episode, and we turned everything on today, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, everything's gonna
Echo.
echo today.
Echo.
So Yeah, that was really annoying. But we appreciate everybody tuning in.
Yes,
And
thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead and turn
We
that up
appreciate
there a little bit.
that a lot.
So, but yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Oops, there we go. Of course, if you want to contact us, if you got anything you would want us to hear, you can always email us at
E-pillow?
e-pillow us at rpmmmoradio@gmail.com, or even just send one of us a tell on Discord if you're on our Discord server, which of course you can get to at rpmmoradio.com/Discord. Join us there if you'd like to. If there's things that you would like us to hear talk about, especially for next year, because we're probably going to start kicking this up a notch and actually go into a weekly thing like we keep talking about. Of course, it depends on if we've got enough stuff to talk about. We can talk forever, as you can hear, but we still need to have an idea of what we're gonna aim for. So we'd love to hear from you. You can visit us at Facebook at RPMMORadio, at Twitter, of course, Twitch live at twitch.tv/RPMMORadio. We really do appreciate you guys tuning in with us, and I think that will pretty much do it. It's going to be quite some, probably, since we're doing this for next week's episode technically, which will be the Thanksgiving week. It'll be probably be 3 weeks. It won't be till the beginning of December that we actually come back and do our next show. So not much we could do about that, but at least we gave you the 2 episodes that would fill in that space. So, with all that said, I appreciate you guys listening. Tune in next time when we'll go over a few old-fashioned halfling recipes, such as slow roast halfling, hickory bacon wrapped, and smoked halfling. Next time on RPMMO Radio. Good night, everybody. The thoughts and opinions of those on RPM Radio are just that and should not be taken as the gospel truth. Music is, of course, as always, provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great rock covers and original music. Thank you again, Husky. We appreciate you, bud. Good night, everybody.